Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my page, Oils to Connect. And for today, we have a special topic about gut health. So we're going to talk about all about gut health. And for today, I have a really special guest to come on, and she agreed to come on and spend her time today with us in this session about gut health. And I just want to give a small small introduction about herself. So she is Leanne Anderson. She is a diamond in Young Living rank, and as well she is a nutrition consultant, a yoga teacher, and as well essential oils educator. But on top of that, as you all know, Leanne, she is the founder of the Sensible Tribe. So I'm really honored and happy to have Leanne to agree to come on to do this talk with me. It's a great privilege, and as well, without further ado, I will bring Leanne up. See, okay. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. So yeah, very welcome to my page, Oils to Connect. I'm very happy and excited to have you on to this discussion as gut health. So it's a very honor. So I'm seeing a few people coming in. So if anybody who's watching or tuning in right now, you can just comment in the comment box. Saying where are you tuning in from, or do you have any questions? We could have that questions later on with Leanne after she gives us some brief insight about gut health. And as well, if you guys could share this around, that would be great. So, yeah, I'll leave it up to Leanne. As everybody knows, she is the founder of the Sensible Tribe, which everybody is excited to see you talking on here today. It's a really an honor for us here. So yeah, I know that you are doing nutrition consultant and a yoga teacher as well. Um, yeah, so we wanted to know a little bit more in, not say in depth, a bit about gut health because everybody's talking about gut health now these days. Because why is it very important in our daily lives, and as well how could we benefit of what we are using in Young Living to to enhance our gut health. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, yes. So I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for inviting me here. I am honored, and it's a privilege for me to be speaking to your audience. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
So let's talk about gut health. And my wellness journey started all around gut health. So it is
Mm-hmm.
a topic that's really close to my heart. And I can start by telling you about my experience. And before we go into that, I just want to always make sure that your audience knows and is aware that, I'm not a doctor and I am not licensed to diagnose or prescribe. And everything I share here is based on my own experience and my own research. And the
Mm-hmm.
beauty of being a part of the Sensible Tribe is that we have access to each other's stories and experiences, and we share resources. There are a lot of books out there that can teach us how to become empowered for our own gut health. And
Mm-hmm.
so while I am going to launch on this, story about how I addressed my gut health issues, I encourage anyone who has any desire to live a well-balanced life, addressing their gut health, to really get in touch with Duncan or with any of us. who are in the Sensible Tribe, and we will gladly add you to our community and be that resource for you, because our mission is to empower families all over the world in really addressing their wellness. And gut health, would you agree, is the foundation of it all. And it has been said that all disease begins in the gut. And conversely, for our purposes, I would say all health begins in the gut. So what do we mean when we talk about the gut? I would say that a lot of our everyday bothersome sort of ailments are based primarily on the food we eat, how it's digested within us, and when it's not digested well, then it's showing up as maybe our lack of energy, or our where our body talks to us. And so anything that we feel from our body most of the time has to do with our gut health. So where was I 10 years ago? It was probably about the time when I was starting to wake up to my body. Actually, I would say not 10 years ago. It would be more like 16 years ago. Okay. I was starting to wake up to the fact that my body and all its different ailments was actually its way of telling me that I was imbalanced. And what was I experiencing back then? I had a 2-year-old back then. And even before then, I was already experiencing all this, but I didn't pay it any attention. So I was chronically constipated, even in my 20s, but I never gave it a thought. I had all sorts of skin issues, stemming from hives to acne to just general itchiness, right? And I would be so sensitive to anything really that once I actually went to an allergy office, a dermatology allergy office, and they tested my skin, and they took a little wooden stick and they scratched my skin just to see the reaction. Well, I had a raised line all the way down where the scratch was within seconds. And this is a true story. Literally, all the nurses ran into my room because they were telling everyone how I was a classic case and a very unusual case of a really reactive skin. And in fact, when they came in, they took pictures, and I still have those pictures. And they said, "We've never really seen anyone react so, violently as your skin." So that was kind of my first hints at something is out of balance here. And then I started to really have symptoms that one wouldn't connect to my gut, but I was having backaches, and I was every time I got a cold, I would cough for weeks at a time. And when I got any of the coughing fits, I would have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom, because sometimes I would actually cough to the point where I felt like I was going to throw up. So it was that bad, yet I wasn't even like, oh, I'm fine. All these are things that most people have. And because I was young, I was, in my 30s, I felt like I still had my energy levels, and that's all that matters. And I wasn't really treating my body very well. So it was a classic case of just not being awake to my body as what I have come to really regard as my temple, where my soul resides, where I am truly living my purpose through my body in this lifetime. And I treat it as pretty sacred nowadays. So as I started to wake up to that, the real the real reason I started looking at health was because my son started showing symptoms of stomach upset all the time. And when we investigated further, he would vomit after eating and his meals, and he had asthma-induced, he had viral-induced asthma. So anytime he had a cold, we had to do that nebulizer treatment. And he really had that from 2-year-old to 6 years old. And then from about 8 or 9, he started having real gastro symptoms. So anyway, all the investigation and reading from that started me down this journey of really realizing that food is really important in how we function. So I took out dairy and I took out gluten from our everyday meals, and he was much better, about 65, 75% better. And then I realized, wow, I feel better too. Like my skin was starting to clear out and my backaches were going away. I wasn't sick all the time and I wasn't coughing all the time. But then, it just wasn't quite enough. But it was enough for me to get back to school, to sign up, to enter a course to become a nutrition consultant. And so I went through all that, and we had a few good years until, it just didn't feel like enough. There was just other things showing up that felt like even if we pay attention to our food and be such, strict guidelines around it, it didn't feel like joy. It felt like prison, really, and it became this limit to our social life where my son couldn't go for birthday parties, he couldn't have the snacks at school. And granted, now we still avoid it when we can, but we have the ability now to assimilate our lifestyle with what happens at any time, whether it's someone's birthday that they can have a little bit. And what I found to be the most important, addition to our wellness lifestyle was Young Living essential oils. So I'll give you a little bit of history on my relationship with essential oils. My very first essential oil purchase was when I was about 18 years old, I believe. I was 18. And I had it was my very first international trip by myself. And I went to the UK to visit my friend back then that had just left to study in the UK for his university years. And we went to this little town market, and it was the Camden market. And they had little vials of essential oils, and I just felt this pull. And I bought some. And it was something that I used for a bit, and then I forgot about it, which later on I actually found it again, and it was nasty. It had already gone rancid. But I really remember that as my very first introduction to essential oils, which did nothing for me, nothing memorable. And then I used essential oils on and off throughout when my son was just born. When you have a baby, would you agree, that is most of the time when we start to think about our health, because we want to make sure our baby grows up healthy. And so I started reading a little more. I remember my very first purchase of an essential oil book was back then. But again, it didn't do much for me. And then when my son started getting his respiratory distress, a friend shared thieves oil with us. And to be honest, it wasn't even a friend, it was an acquaintance. And it came in the mail with some printouts. But I was not plugged into a community. I was not, nobody called me to tell me how to use it. So I didn't I didn't use it the right way, honestly. And so I wasn't very interested in using it more because I just didn't see the results that this book told me I would. And then when so fast forward, right? All the different years of up and down of health issues, I did try a lot of the different brands and grocery store brands and brands from friends. So it's always had my own stash of essential oils. And in fact, when I accidentally find like a packing list from, many years ago on going on vacation, recently I saw on the list was essential oils, and that was before I even used Young Living. So I tried all this for our issues, and none of them impressed me. And I went to a school fair, and I met, Jessica Petty there. She had a Young Living booth, and I walked up to her and I asked her, what is the difference between Young Living and all the other brands that I'm using? And she started to tell me about the fact that our essential oils are so high in the frequency because of the way we grow it at our farms, our partner farms, and our Seed to Seal certified farms. So, suffice to say, the Seed to Seal policy has created this relationship with the plants that is beyond comparison. And when we use it with gratitude and with reverence and with this idea that we are here for the plants just as they are here for us, there is this magic that happens that really supports our health. And so within a few weeks of using it, I realized how I felt so much better. And so gut health really is when we are supporting our microbiome. And the microbiome really is the number of bacteria that live in our gut is beyond the number of cells we have in our body. In fact, 90% of our cells are made up of, these microbes. And so we have trillions of cells within us that are really not our body. It's made up of these microbes in us. They do all sorts of functions, including producing vitamins, regulating our production, say, of our hormones, and so many things with regards to our digestive process is because of the balance of the microbiome. So why, like you said, Duncan, are we all talking about gut health? The truth is, in the US, the American consumers that were polled, 80% of them said they have some kind of a gut issue. And that could be heartburn after eating, gastric pain, constipation, diarrhea, all sorts of issues related to when we eat, what we eat, and how we feel after we eat, and any kind of sort of feeling of heaviness from certain foods, and just increased sensitivities to so much out there. Now, I'm not saying that essential oils, and specifically Young Living essential oils, can cure any of that. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that when we add plant essence, essential oils into our lives, we are starting to partner with nature, and there is this intelligence in plants that is present in the essential oils that just really helps us to find that balance, that then slowly allows us to come out of the fog. And it has a great ability to cut through all parts of us, our body, our mind, and our spirit. And so it's not just a physical thing, because it has been shown that stress really affects our gut health as well. And I'll tell you that my health went downhill very fast when I was so stressed out, when I was studying for my master's degree full time. And right after, and having a 2-year-old at that time, and right after graduation, I wasn't feeling so well. I had all sorts of, panic attacks and just general like anxious feelings that was because of my stress level. And so I truly believe when we inhale the magic of essential oils, and it's not just a belief, it is a scientific proven fact that as it goes up into our part of the brain that stores our emotions, our trauma, and our memory, it is really able to help to process that so that we deal with stress better and we deal with our emotions better. And so I would just say when I got my premium starter kit, I really started using lemon vitality and digest vitality often. And those, and peppermint vitality, those three on its own has really revolutionized how I am able to eat and still have that ability to support my digestive system. As I mentioned before, I was chronically constipated before and just wasn't even educated on the fact that you really should go to the bathroom at least once a day. And I'm happy to say now, with the combination of foods that I eat that does not include gluten, dairy, or eggs, and I try to avoid soy, and definitely try to pay attention to not eating as out a lot, and the GMO foods that are prevalent when we eat out, and really to stay with definitely plant-based foods when I'm eating out. And if I were to eat any meat or meat-based foods or animal protein, it would be only when I'm at home and I know that I have purchased to my best ability an animal that has been maybe raised humanely or has been fed non-GMO substances and caught and slaughtered and all of that, right? Which I probably am on this track to become more plant-based. I would say I'm about 85% plant-based right now. And if any of you have heard of the blood type diet, they do say that an O positive has a harder time going plant-based. And again, this is all personal experience, and you might experiment for yourself, where O positive is harder to go plant-based, but you can do that on a regular, on a growing basis. And Gary Young does talk about that in his book, The Essential Oils Desk Reference. And he talks about how multi-greens as a supplement really does help us O positive blood move up to being more plant-based over time. So I want to talk a little bit about the enzymes that have really helped my digestive system. And Young Living has quite a few different enzyme products, and Detoxzyme and Allerzyme are two that really helps me. Number one, because the capsules are really small, and I tend to have a hard time to swallow bigger capsules. And so I actually take, 3 to 5 of that at a time. And it has been amazing for my digestive system. And so they also have Essential Zyme and Essential Zymes 4. And they have a kids enzymes as well. So I would encourage any of you who are interested to reach out to either Duncan or I, or the friend that sent you this video, for further resources, because we have a complete breakdown of what all these enzymes do. But again, it is something that is worth experimenting with your own body and to figure out what works best for you. So having said that, I did consult with a lot of clients for nutrition consulting, and realized that a lot of people who are suffering from digestive discomfort, or most of the time it's because they want to lose weight, they come with this idea that I'm going to really feed them their menu plan and what they should eat. And I want to really emphasize that I've moved away from telling anyone what to do to really asking that person to tap into their own intuitive power and powers of observation. And you are your best, advocate for your own health. And feeling healthy should be really joyful and happy and full of energy. And there's this sense of lightness after you eat, and a detachment from a craving for any kinds of food, but maybe a very sensible sort of, oh yeah, I feel like eating that today and it makes me feel good. And not use the word diet or cheat, or how people go, yeah, I'm eating really well for 5 days and then I allow myself 2 days to cheat. Well, what you're really telling your body is that I'm going to restrict you. Remember what I said earlier about that prison, right? I'm going to restrict you for these, the majority of the week, and then I'm going to let you out of prison for 2 days, and you just go all out. And you are really programming your body to feel like it's completely under control, that is not based on how you feel or how healthy you feel, but based on maybe a thought process of what it is you should eat or you shouldn't. So based on that, I call it intuitive eating. Okay, so yes, Alex, less alcoholic drinks every week. So I haven't even gone to the story of my alcoholic tendencies, but I'll speak about that in a second. So I was going to say that as I moved away from giving meal plans, I moved more into coaching and meditation and yoga as a form of coming home to that relationship with ourselves. Hi, Angela. And when we start to really strengthen the bond between our thinking mind and our feeling mind, which resides in our heart, we start to be able to tap into our wise selves within us that really knows what it is our body needs. Hi, Martha. So I call it intuitive eating. And intuitive eating really is a mindful process of living from your heart. And so, how did I get here? Well, let me first tell you about how I was, I guess I was very much into alcohol when I was younger. I had my first drink probably when I was, I don't know, I can't even remember, but in my teenage years. And I cannot even have tequila near me anymore, because when I smell it, you know how smell activates your memory. Yeah, when I smell it, I think of horrible things. The other one is ouzo. I'm not even sure why I did that. But anyway, so my relationship with alcohol is one of a tendency to addiction. And, you know, I do come from genes that are alcoholic tendencies, and I would say quite a few people do. And it's really I think it's a human tendency. But my point is, I was doing a lot of alcohol, and that was my problem. My liver is really, really weak because of that, and I had to stop myself from drinking so much. And once I did, and I supported my liver with Juva Cleanse is an essential oil blend from Young Living. Juva Flex is a really great one. It just has taken away the craving, absolutely. And I've stopped drinking now for, about 3 years, not even a drop. And before that, it was like on and off and on and off. Yeah.
I, I just wanted to add, because you were just saying about alcoholic drinks, about the tequila. For me, it would be the I'm not too sure if you remember. We call it back home. It's a rice wine.
Yes.
You know that smell of rice wine. I just wanted to add that on.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a bit it's a how do you say, a scary memory, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so many of us have those memories, and you know, especially as teenagers, where you feel, and I think it's a societal thing where, oh, when you grow up, you get to drink alcohol, and there just is nothing good about it, even with all the research that kind of tells you, you know, a glass of wine is really good for your brain. Well, you can really get the resveratrol from eating grapes, or if you want concentrated ones, you can get some other antioxidants like Ningxia Red, which is so much better for you, and will deliver those kinds of benefits that you are trying to justify with drinking a glass of wine. So alcohol definitely wrecked my gut health as well. And this idea of leaky gut, I just wanted to touch a little bit on that, because what we're experiencing when what we eat leaks into our blood, for instance, and shows up as lesions on our skin or anything like that, is in the scientific literature described as how your gut lining has been almost eaten away by the proteins of the food that is undigested and cannot be digested, whether it is lack of enzymes or that you are getting sensitive to it. And this is where I have to mention that the increase in gut dysbiosis in all around the world has been shown to be linked to the increase of glyphosate in our environment. Glyphosate being the active ingredient of Roundup, of a weed killer. Again, it is our desire as a species to control nature, to kill weeds, that has led to another step of us really literally killing ourselves off. So what this active ingredient has done, as many respected scientists have found, is that it has seeped into everything, because it is a water soluble toxin, and it messes with our hormones, it messes with our gut, it messes with our ability to eat the food that has been treated with it. And so it starts to eat up, these undigested foods starts to break down this barrier between our digestive system and our other parts of our body, leading to a lot of things that we just are at a loss as to what to do about it. And it also, in other ways, disrupts the ability of our gut to communicate effectively with our brain. So the gut and the brain are very closely related. It is the second brain of our body, where it takes a lot of the food that we eat, transmutates it into different chemical messengers. And when that is not functioning properly, then the brain neurotransmitters are not being produced well enough, and serotonin, any of that. And then we start to get brain fog and cannot think clearly, and there's some confusion. And it all feeds on each other, where we start to really not be able to function well. And we start to question ourselves, our lives, and why are we alive? Why are we every day dragging our feet? Why are we so not driven and with this hopelessness? So it's a little more insidious than just, oh, I can't go to the toilet, right? And so it's important to look at what you are eating that is causing, in the first place, a lot of these dysfunction. So what can we do about it, right? I've mentioned Digest, peppermint, and lemon, and these are in our premium starter kit. And I would just go through. That is like a really great foundation for a lot of people who are just starting out using essential oils, in the sense that we're going to help your systems to try to come to some sort of equilibrium. And then from there, let's add more of the products that can help us to really target different systems, different organs, and support it from there. So just quickly going through the premium starter kit, and it may be different in different countries, but it's primarily the same. So for the digestion, I would say Digest, lemon, peppermint. And for the stress that causes digestive issues, peace and calming, frankincense, lavender, stress away, valor. They're all amazing for helping us to really come back to the present and to understand that stress is really just our inability to accept reality, and to understand that we can't control the external world, but we can absolutely control our own response to it, as well as how we create our own lives based on what we've been given, and the impact we can have on ourselves, on each other, on our families, when we start to live life from that space. So the other essential oils in the premium starter kit is Citrus Fresh is amazing for really starting to help the body to address a lot of that residue that is in us from years and years of not really thinking about it, from breathing it in to eating it. to putting all the maybe creams and toxins, with all the conventional products that has toxins on our body, on our skin. And so that is an amazing one for that. And, if you were like me, where part of my issue with gut dysbiosis was showing up as, backache, joint pain, any of that, was not in a way debilitating. And that is the crux of it, right? We get it every so often. And that's why we don't really think about it and we don't connect it to anything. But once you start to notice a pattern, then you realize, oh yeah, it's because I ate that day. So anyway, PanAway is amazing to put on any part of your body that has a sudden onset of pain, which really is just a message to your body. And it's just saying, hey, look, you ate something that day that I just don't like. Can you please pay attention and stop it? So PanAway is amazing for that. And then we have a couple more oils that is in there, which I'm blanking on now. I thought I had 10. Can you remember any of the other oils?
Yeah, you mentioned already copaiba.
So copaiba, wow, yeah. Now, copaiba do you get copaiba Vitality or just generally?
Just general copaiba, yeah.
Okay, so copaiba, if you take that and just rub it topically around your belly, it is going to be amazing for any kind of supporting your gut. So that's an important one. Yeah.
Can you use that for children? Would that be
Absolutely.
advisable?
Yes.
Right.
In fact, when babies are teething, we talk about using copaiba to support their process through teething, and we would definitely dilute it in a tablespoon. I would put a drop if it was 6 months and under, and just take a little bit of that and just rub it on your gum. It's going to be so soothing for them.
All right, yeah, because our son recently, he has quite of a what do you call it, eczema, so it flares up. So maybe I should try that.
Yeah, and there are so many reasons for that. And again, we're not here to prescribe or diagnose, but we can really soothe his itchiness so that he can go through it in a more comfortable manner. We're really here to help them, be more comfortable.
Yes,
and so one of the ways that I have really, been soothing that part of my skin is lavender and frankincense. And that, again, is in the Premium Starter Kit.
Yeah, so I'm seeing there's a few questions here, Leanne. Do you want to answer those questions or you want to go with my questions? It's up to you.
Oh, let's for sure answer the audience questions.
Just let me see. Something's happened with Leanne. She's a bit frozen or stuck in her place. Just some technical difficulties, or she's resuming. Oh, there you're back. You're frozen for a while.
Hopefully in a smile.
It was great. You still have the beautiful background behind you, so it's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's one question. I'll pop it up here. Could you see that? Yeah, so it says from Alex, how much Juva to make a difference supporting the liver?
Yes. So what helps me may not help you. Looking at his picture, he looks much bigger than me. I am 110 pounds, and who knows how big he is, right? So again, really, it's about intuitive dosing, if you will. There are suggestions in our desk reference. And for me, what I did was it depends. If I'm taking Juva Cleanse as a vitality and in a capsule, I would put 7 drops in there and put the rest as carrier oil, and then I would take it in. And it would depend again, if you're maybe going on a little cleanse and you want to have 180 pounds. Yeah, I know, right? You could like carry me up a hill. um, so depending on what it is you're trying to achieve, whether it's a kind of cleanse, then you would have a little regimen of maybe 5 days on, 2 days off, whatever it is, for 3 weeks, say, for instance. And one of the books I really like for that is called Inner Transformations with Essential Oils, and it has a lot of cleansing regimen in there. Now, as just a nightly thing, I like to put it on my liver, and I would just put 2 or 3 drops. My liver is right under the right rib, and I would put it there. And if my skin was sensitive, I would put carrier oil on there. Mm-hmm. And then I would also VitaFlex it on my foot point. And are you hearing the background noise?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Okay. So VitaFlex is a technique that we use in Young Living. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just for the benefit of the audience, I would say we start with the tips of our fingers, because what we're really doing is creating an electric circuit that sends the essential oils to the organ of support. So imagine that this is my foot, and we have a graphic again in the desk reference or in the pocket reference showing where the foot corresponds to which organ. So let's say the liver is like right in the middle here. I would put an essential oil there, and then I would put my finger down, and I would start to roll over to my nails. And once I put my finger down, I'm starting the electric circuit. Now, when I roll over, I am stopping that circuit and then sending that essential oil molecule to the organ, which is the liver. So that's that. Now, another way we would address the liver is through the meridians. And there is a great book also by the same author that does Inner Transformations. And this is about how to use essential oils with your meridians and your chakras. And the liver really is at night that it would be the best time to do it. So in this book, it tells us how we can really do it all day. And we run, say, Juva Cleanse along the liver meridian. And we also can work on the opposite organ, and it's really interesting. And it's another thing that we have access to and resources to, that we can come up with a real regimen.
Yeah. So I'm seeing there's another question here. It says, how do you know when you have a leaky gut? Is there any test to go through? And as well, how do you know if the guts is back in order?
Yeah, so a lot of times we start to investigate when we don't feel so good after we eat, or we have certain issues like, things that recur. Maybe it's a headache, maybe it's, so for me, how I knew was that, again, my skin wasn't perfect. So skin is a really good indicator of health. And not that we want it perfect all the time, but when there is something that is showing up consistently, then we know something's wrong, right? If you have tummy aches all the time, then that is an indicator. If it's just showing up like all over, say headache, tummy ache, whatever it is, then there's an imbalance somewhere that you can go to your doctor and you can ask. Now, the testing, there are many different tests out there that your conventional doctor may not even suggest. So if you went to a naturopathic doctor, they might, suggest that you test your stool, for instance. And most of the time, it's going to be an imbalance of pathogens, where you might see an elevated parasite count, and different parasites. And really, a lot of the cleanses we do is to balance the microbiome. And the opportunistic microbes are the parasites, the viruses, the bacteria. I mean, even bacteria that we think are bad are in balance in our body and helping with our functions when it is at a good amount and not overpowering the system. And we're out of balance when we're feeding the opportunistic microbes versus feeding our the good ones. So how do you know if your gut is back in order? It's one of those things where, would you agree, like when we use essential oils, we actually don't even realize that it is supporting us in many ways, because we feel happy, we wake up, we go through our day, we don't think much about it. But when you look at how you are today versus how you were a year ago, you might start to suddenly say, oh yeah, I guess it really does help me, because I'm not like, as an example, I'm not yelling at my son as often, or I'm not like so tired I'm going to bed and not waking up with vigor, right? So sometimes it can be very subtle. Sometimes it can be where you don't even think about it, because we are so conditioned to react only to negative things and not be grateful for what is going well. Would you agree? And so part of the mindful living practice is really to start being aware of what's going right, what's going well, what do you have in your life that you have so much blessings that you can start to say you're grateful for it, Yeah.
That's good. I see there's another one here by Cindy. She says, how can I help a 4 years old with gut problem? Can I give him Ningxia Red?
So those are two separate questions. And the first question, I would again remind people, right? I'm not a doctor, and I'm
Yes.
not here to prescribe or diagnose.
Yes.
If you think your 4-year-old has a gut problem, then you, as the mother, really should be doing the research on what you're comfortable with. What is really, really interesting is that we don't realize it, but like I mentioned before, when I helped my son, my symptoms got better. And I was not motivated at all to address my own health issues. I was so motivated to help him. And the issue, the real truth is that my mother had issues with dairy and gluten. And the signs were already there, and we didn't even pay attention. She had real respiratory distress for about 20 years. And the doctors couldn't tell her what she had. They ruled out asthma, they ruled out COPD, but they still gave her an inhaler with steroids, which she had to use every single night until she became my case study for my nutrition consultant. And I took out dairy, I took out gluten, and I added back nutrients for her body. So very quickly, a regimen for healing gut has 4 R's that most practitioners would talk about. That is, remove the toxins. So remove the foods that are bothering you, remove the toxins that you're exposed to, and replace. So you're going to replace those foods with, of course, the ones that help the microbiome to thrive. And you're going to replace it with a lot of sauerkraut, miso, kombucha, the foods that are really, really good for introducing a nice selection of fermented bacteria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then re-inoculate. So that's like the sauerkraut. And if you take Life 9, that's a great one. And they also have Mighty, is it Mighty Pro for kids? That is
Yeah.
probiotic. And allow your children to go out in the dirt, in the mud, play in the soil. Soil bacteria has been shown to be the one of the missing links to our gut health. And we used to, as a species, take from the garden and not even wash it. And we're taking in good bacteria. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm saying that we are really over cleaning our environment. And this idea of always sanitizing ourselves is not, I guess, it's leading to an environment that's way too clean. We want our
We need
population,
some bacterias. Yeah.
yeah, of within
That's
us to have this thriving ecosystem that knows how to balance itself as long as we give it the right conditions. So the second part of her question, can I give him Ningxia Red? Yes, I give Ningxia Red to kids. You can always try less if you feel like too much is going to bother him. But yeah, kids love the taste of Ningxia Red, and it
yeah.
is a nice addition to your spectrum of nutrients that you get every day. Yeah.
She says, yeah, she says we need to play in mud to the adults.
Absolutely. Yeah. So actually, I would say um, a lot of our issues as humanity would start to dissipate if we paid more attention to our relationship with nature. And one thing I'll tell you is that while a lot of the members of the Sensible Tribe first joined because of what we believe to be physical problems, and the need to support our body, a lot of us have started to realize that, oh, actually, ever since I started using essential oils, I start to have a different appreciation for Mother Nature, different appreciation for plants and the ability to partner with us in our existence. If you talk about forest bathing and the research around that, we essential oil lovers love to point out that when they do the research, they're really isolating that it is the chemicals and molecules from the essential oils in the air that are helping people as they go out in the forest. But we know it's more than that. It's also that presence of the frequency of the plant vibrations that we are really healing with, and the whole ecosystem that we're a part of, that allows our soul to connect to, that makes us feel like we have come home to what we are originally meant to be natural in,
I think there's another one here, Leanne. It's from Angelina. She says the difference between Juva Cleanse and Juva Flex.
So on a practical, not practical, but on a very ingredient based level, Juva Cleanse has different essential oils than Juva Flex. Juva Cleanse has only 3 essential oils, and that is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to look it up, but I'm going to just say out of my memory. Juva Cleanse has helichrysum, ledum, and celery seed. And those 3 have been shown as herbs to be really beneficial to our liver processes. And so that is a nice blend to help support our liver. Juva Flex has, and if you notice when you pour it out, is slightly blue. It has German chamomile in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I believe it also has spearmint, but I'm not sure. But we
Mm-hmm.
can really easily look this up in our desk reference. And I've always used both interchangeably. I must admit that JuvaFlex is much more affordable for most people. JuvaCleanse is very close to being out of many people's price range, although it
Mm-hmm.
can be your 1 month ER order, right?
Yeah.
Um, but JuvaFlex also comes in the Vitality, and so that is something I recommend when someone says they can't afford JuvaCleanse. The truth is, this earth of ours, it's not even ours, that we live in, that we're stewards of, has so many thousands of plants. And Young Living has, of course, the most extensive catalog of all essential oil companies. And we have so many plants to choose from. And sometimes the one that suits us best is the one that we are drawn to, right?
Mm.
And if you really can't stand the celery seed smell in JuvaCleanse, then go for JuvaFlex, because JuvaFlex has a more pleasant aroma.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, so Sally's saying here she totally agrees because of the essential oils start to pay attention to surrounding and the environment.
Yes,
Um, yeah, and
absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, I just have maybe just two questions to ask from myself, and then
Mhm.
we'll see if there's anybody, and not we can just end the session. So just my question would be. Like most people are talking about you mentioned everything about it, what you're talking about, the health gut of what people are saying nowadays. um so how most people say that if you fix the gut you will fix most of the things, as most people say. So how would you say, like, how important is the gut health for our overall wellness?
Hmm. I would say that it is important and yet not isolated.
Mm.
So, what I mean by that is we tend to think of our body as isolated centers of function.
Mm-hmm.
And we may say it's so important to fix your gut health, but then we forget to address our brain health or our respiratory health. And I would really emphasize that our body is one ecosystem that works all across the different systems, the different organs.
Mm.
The reason we emphasize gut health is primarily in my mind because that's where we start the process of feeding our body,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the ability to, I guess, make choices on what it is we want ourselves to become. So if
Mm-hmm.
you really think of it as whatever you eat, you become, which
Yeah.
is a statement that we have grown up with and we know.
Yes.
But if you take that to a real literal level, where that thing that you're about to eat is going to become part of your cell. It's going to become
Mm-hmm.
part of your eye cell or your nose cell. Or remember that every 7 years, every single cell in our body is regenerated. So we are not the exact same cell or person that we were 8 years ago. We're
Mm-hmm.
completely different now. And how do we get here? We are now made up of everything that we have fed ourselves with. And if we also believe that our thoughts becomes part of us, then it is our food, it's our thoughts, it's our what we breathe in, what we drink, all of that, right? And
Yes.
so it's important. It's important, and yet it should become just part of our
Routine, you'd say?
yes, our lifestyle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a very good the way to put it, rather than people saying, if you fix your gut, you fix this. It's just too broad. We don't have in depth what to supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but so that's really good. And I just have one last question, Leanne, before we end this off. It's just what would be your daily routine to support your own gut health?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that, like I mentioned earlier, there may be times where I go on, like a targeted cleanse or
Mm-hmm.
regimen where I say, okay, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do this because it's going to sort of give myself this boost.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get back to normal. Normal for me, and I think it works very well with my personality. Uh, so just like how someone said, we make excuses to drink, I make
Yeah.
excuses to be totally random with what I do, yet I have a base foundation. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely use Digest more than I used many oils, and I use my enzymes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I take Life 9 very often at night, and I then intersperse between all of that, the kinds of foods that I eat, I feel all have a medicinal purpose and quality. So I
Mm-hmm.
truly treat food as medicine. And I still would eat the occasional, potato chips and French fries and all of that. And it's fine. But there are some things that I refuse, not that I refuse, that I have no desire to eat
Mm-hmm.
because I just am not hungry for
Yeah.
it, and I don't see the sort of the benefit. I guess
Benefits.
it's no longer a thought process where it's just my body saying no thank you, and I'm totally happy. Because
Mm.
when I say no thank you to something, the person that I'm with sometimes says, oh, I'm so sorry you can't eat that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not at all. I don't even want it. So those are the things, like coffee, for instance. I love the aroma. My son and my husband, they drink coffee, at least once a day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I smell it in and I love it and say, that smells so good, but I have no desire to drink it. I have all these bottles of wine in my fridge that friends give, no
Mm-hmm.
desire to drink it, right? And I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy, just doesn't do anything for me. And
Mm.
so I've gone beyond where, oh, it feels like a prison, to where I'm making choices. And my
Yeah.
choices are to eat what I actually do enjoy them. And a lot of people are like, oh, that doesn't sound very good. And I'm like, you know. So, and then in terms of the oils, for sure, I use a lot of essential oils. I inhale a lot in terms of for my, I guess, my meditation practice,
Mm-hmm.
and my practice of just connecting to the plants, and their magic. And so I
Yeah.
also have a lot of affirmations with that, and prayer with that, and it just really, again, it's like it's part of my lifestyle, but it's also this way of connecting again to that frequency that just
Mm-hmm.
keeps me feeling alive,
Mm.
and it feels good.
Good. Yeah, I think, and I think I saw. I think today. I think you went to the ocean or something. Today.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So that was it was really nice to see that. It was so calming to see actually.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's really nice. So yeah. So thank you very much again, once again, Leanne, for coming on and agreeing to do this talk with me here on the page. I really appreciate it very much. So thank you for your time and for all your valuable information for, especially me and all the audience that who are watching. So once again, thank you very much, Leanne.
Thank you, Duncan. And I'm so honored again, and hope to keep in touch. And so happy you're part of the Sensible Tribe. And let's keep sharing this beautiful connection we have to plant magic.
Yes, that's right. So Thank you very much again, Leanne. See you. Keep in touch.
Okay.